In 2011, Subway achieved the impossible. With over 40,000 locations, it surged past McDonald's to become the largest restaurant chain on the planet. The company was opening a store every 8 hours, generating $12 billion a year, and had the most successful promotion in fast food history, the $5 footlong. But fast forward to today, and that empire is collapsing. With sales plummeting by more than 50% and thousands of locations closing every year, the brand is now losing billions. The very thing that made Subway unbeatable is also what quietly destroyed it. Here's the story of how the world's largest restaurant chain conquered the globe, only to suffer the most spectacular collapse in fast food history. It all started in 1965 when a 17-year-old named Fred DeLuca borrowed $1,000 from a family friend, Peter Buck, to open a sub shop in Bridgeport, hoping the profits would pay his medical school tuition. At first, the shop didn't make any money, but DeLuca and Buck realized something very important. The real money wasn't in selling sandwiches to customers, it was in selling the business to other people. They went all in and opened 16 stores over the next year. By the 1970s, fast food was booming, but getting into a franchise like McDonald's was a rich man's game. It required massive capital, over $1 million, and strict real estate requirements. But DeLuca went the other direction. He made Subway the everyman's franchise. Here's what I mean. Because there were no fryers, no grease traps, and minimal equipment, you could open a Subway for as little as $15,000 in the early days. Even today, the entry cost is a fraction of what a McDonald's requires. And it was a genius concept because suddenly it made franchising and a good concept like Subway accessible to many more entrepreneurs. This low barrier to entry was their superpower. It allowed them to flood the market, reaching 2,000 stores by 1981. And by 1990, they hit 5,000 stores. Almost overnight, Subways started popping up everywhere. Gas stations, malls, truck stops, even airports. Back in the 90s, healthy meant low-fat, high-carb, and Subway fit right in, while everyone else was stuck on fries and greasy burgers. People were over-standardized food. Decades of McDonald's meant every meal was the same. They wanted customization, and Subway offered exactly that. They passed McDonald's at 13,000 locations, but didn't stop there. At one point, a new Subway opened every 8 hours, and by 2011, they had 43,000 restaurants worldwide. It seemed they couldn't lose, but behind the growth, cracks were starting to show, and soon, the empire they built would begin to crumble. DeLuca created a system that would eventually rot the company from the inside, the development agents. Instead of corporate headquarters scouting new locations, Subway outsourced this to development agents, usually existing franchisees who were given control over a territory. Their job was to find new franchisees and get stores open. In exchange, they got a cut of the royalties from every store in their territory. But here's the problem. The development agents were incentivized on volume, not profitability. They got paid when a new store opened, regardless of whether that store made money. This created a perverse incentive. Agents started approving new Subways right across the street from existing Subways. By the 2000s, franchisees weren't fighting McDonald's, they were fighting the Subway next door. In 2012, a year where same-store sales were already falling, the chain still opened 800 new stores. Why? Because Subway made its money from royalties on total sales. As long as overall sales went up even slightly, corporate earned more, even if individual franchisees lost customers and profits. This store-on-store cannibalization was the first sign of deeper trouble. But things got even worse for Subway when 2008 arrived. The financial crisis hit, and the world changed. People were broke and needed value. Subway responded with the most successful promotion in fast food history, the $5 footlong. It was a cultural phenomenon. In 2009 alone, the promotion generated nearly $4 billion in revenue. But while corporate headquarters celebrated the massive boost in royalties, the franchisees were suffocating. You see, the math simply didn't work. After food costs, labor, rent, and Subway's massive 12.5% royalty cut, one of the highest in the industry, selling a footlong for $5 often meant the franchisee was breaking even or losing money. But the $5 footlong became a drug for the customers. They were addicted to the price, and corporate was addicted to the top-line revenue. When they tried to stop the promotion, traffic crashed. They were trapped. Simultaneously, the definition of healthy shifted. In the 2000s, healthy no longer meant low fat, it meant fresh. Chains like Chipotle and Sweetgreen were slicing meat in front of you and using high-quality ingredients. Meanwhile, Subway was still shipping pre-sliced, processed meats. The market had moved on. Subway was no longer seen as fresh, it had become the cheap, processed option. The financial difference between Subway and its competitors became staggering. While a typical Subway store was scraping by with $425,000 in annual sales, a Jersey Mike's was generating nearly $1 million. But the final blow came from a leadership vacuum. Fred DeLuca, the visionary and dictator who ran the company with an iron fist, passed away in 2015. His death left a massive power vacuum. Without his relentless drive, the company drifted and the relationship with franchisees turned toxic. Government reports dating back to the 90s had already labeled Subway a poster child for predatory franchising. They often targeted recent immigrants who poured their life savings into the system, only to be crushed by a development agent opening another store a block away. Data shows that for every 10,000 franchisees, Subway had 29 lawsuits, compared to just 1.4 for chains like McDonald's or Wendy's. Subway operators were nearly 15 times more likely to be in a legal battle with their corporate parent. Starting in 2016, the store count began to freefall. Thousands of locations closed. Management tried to pivot by renovating stores and introducing higher quality items like carved turkey, but it was too little, too late. Customers weaned on $5 sandwiches weren't interested in paying premium prices for a brand they now associated with discounts and controversy. By 2023, the DeLuca and Buck families were ready to check out, and after nearly 60 years, they put the company up for sale. They eventually reached a deal with Rourke Capital, a private equity firm that owns Arby's and Jimmy John's, for roughly $9.6 billion. Rourke's plan involves modernizing tech, finally installing meat slicers in stores, and fixing international markets. But the rise and fall of Subway remains a cautionary tale about the difference between growth and health. Fred DeLuca wanted to be the biggest, and he succeeded. He built more stores than anyone else in history, but he forgot that a franchise is a partnership. Subway spent decades maximizing the number of dots on a map, ignoring the fact that the people running those dots were starving. Whether private equity can save the chain remains to be seen, but the era of the $5 footlong and Subway's global dominance is officially over. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more deep dives into the economics of businesses, make sure to subscribe. It really helps the channel grow.